Welcome, everybody. Here we are live on a Thursday night, a school night, if you will, May 2nd, 2024. Got so much excitement and so much good material to review from the C2E2 comic book convention. And tonight, our focus, our feature, our dive in, our specified content for the evening is the Svengoolie comic book and the Artist Alley coverage, the Artist Alley experience of the C2E2 comic book convention, which has just concluded just roughly a week ago. So I went in with some goals, and included chief amongst the goals were, let me say, my first point of business of the day as I got there was to check in with Dave Fuentes, Terror Dave. That goal was achieved. I was able to make some conversation with Dave. It's always a good way to start a convention. And as the scroll here indicates, coming soon on terrordaves.com will be Dave's bar none top excellent coverage of Svengoolie and the convention. Dave's going to be presenting, as he always does, words and pictures to let us all know what a good time it was to interact with Svengoolie and be a part of the Sven verse. But now let me come to the rest of the business. After I did my morning hangout with Dave, Terror Dave, I had some goals here. So going back to, I'll reference our previous summertime business when there was the signing. There were 2 stops in that day. I was not at Graham Cracker Comics. I was not at the first stop, but I did in fact make it to the second of the locations, that being Oh Yeah Comics. And at that time, I did get the signature from Rich Coe's Svengoolie himself. Also, where am I going now? Dan Didio, who is now with the Frank Miller Publishing. Frank Miller Presents Comic Books, and the man behind Oh Yeah Comics himself, Art Baltazar. So newly added here as of the Artist Alley Interactions. I definitely wanted to find Jill Thompson. By good fortune, her signing table was immediately across from the Oh Yeah Comics signing table, which led me to nailing Franco's signature as well. And I absolutely, now, I've seen Franco around, I've seen Art around, both at the Oh Yeah Comic Shop and when you get your free comic book day, which is coming up this coming weekend. That's a good day for local people around here to go interact with Art and Franco. Not so local to the Windy City is one Christopher Jones. So I want to go into my encounters with Art and Franco and Jill and Christopher Jones, which was exactly what I was hoping for. It was a real good time. So I don't have it here with me, but of the stuff that Art and Franco were selling from Franco, I picked up just a tiny little canvas Ant-Man, and then I would need to go back. I should have asked him at the time. My new goal is to ask Franco, is it Hank Pym Ant-Man, or is it Scott Lang Ant-Man, or is it up to me since I'm the one who bought it? So I look forward to find that out with Franco. Okay, now here we go. I had never met Jill Thompson before, but I did get a confirmation from her some time ago on this very channel. We mentioned on the 2 drawn out segment right here. So in this temporary alternate reality where, as you see, Dr. Kopay there had Sven knocked out of the horror hosting gig, but was drawing and presenting drawings. So if I flip this upside down, it's a little bit easier to see from the perspective there. So I was figuring that's a picture of a ham, a picture of the letter L, and a picture of a 1-ton weight. So I was figuring Jill Thompson was going for Hamilton, and I got the confirmation from her that it was. Now, it was a while ago that she drew it. She didn't initially remember that was what was there, but I did get face to face with Jill Thompson, and she did confirm definitely Hamilton. Talk about the other deep cuts, the exclusives, and I put exclusives LOL as if this is a major deal for exclusives here, but I don't know if anyone had confirmed on that before with Jill Thompson. But other things confirmed as I'm flipping pages here now. Chris Jones, as I was speaking to him, definitely let me know that on this set of pages here, which was set in the past, you can see Sven's hair is a little bit different than it is currently. It's more on the vintage haircut. And the shirt of that era was the green shirt. So I don't want to say the colorist made an error, but I'll say maybe there was a miscommunication, but the color didn't come out as it was intended. And as I had bantered about before, right here, how could it be that the Chris Jones painting, which when it contains the green face paint, anyway, again, colorist miscommunication that Sven here is in a regular flesh color instead of in a traditional Chris Jones poster color. Speaking of the Chris Jones poster, there it is. Now I'm going to try to get look at that, trying to get the glare, trying to get the screen reflection out of the way. But let me come up here. There is me leaning over the table as I'm talking to Chris Jones. And look at that Kapow t-shirt. The man is committed to his craft. Absolutely. Fanboy, not Fanboy G. Fanboy G was not around. Chai Star G and me hanging out, roaming around Artist Alley. I wanted to get the specify on the signatures there as I did just show them and walk through the cover of the comic. It's just real cool to have that many signatures all on one comic. I'm pleased that that's the way it went. I'm pleased that I was able to land all the signatures. And again, I want to mostly stick to the Artist Alley experience in the comic here tonight. I will be having other C2E2 and Sven content coming up soon. But I also want to now, so right here, if we're talking goals, and this was the goal to achieve the look, and we had been speaking about cosplay to cosplay or not to cosplay. So I decided, let me go all in and let me go with the Chris Jones version of Sven. And so I'll leave it to you, viewer. What do you think? I think my green is a little bit darker green. I think I made a valiant effort there, but somehow I feel like when you watch the baking shows and people didn't quite nail it or anyway, good effort on my part. Good creativity on my part, but I didn't quite stick to landing just exactly as Chris Jones had depicted Sven right there. And now, by my good fortune, stick to landing or not, it did allow me to interact with some other people on the convention floor. So here is a Gomez and Lurch. If there's any disadvantage of this picture, it's that the head of Gomez is blocking the thing, which is resting on the shoulder of Lurch. So I had fun. It was great to be over there at C2E2. It was great to go around the floor. It was great to reconnect with Dave. Other Artist Alley finds. We also had, and Scott, we're going to have to see coming up on the schedule. We're looking to have Scott come on around here, but there is the Dracula done by Scott. There is the Bride and the Frankenstein by Scott. So it was really cool to meet Scott after having heard of him. And I'm glad to pick up some of his stuff. Again, looking to have him come be a future guest over here. So let me see, we're definitely planning to be back around this coming weekend as we do our regularly scheduled stuff, more so around the weekend. We have plenty of other C2E2 and Svengoolie coverage and good times and fun to review. As we're saying here, if people weren't able to make it to the show, but you were interested in the Svengoolie panel, then you can look at either in the podcast format or through YouTube. You should go Word Balloon, and John Suntress, who is the magnificent MC of the panel. It was great to see John and Sven on the stage hanging out and going through the discussion and the Q&A. As it says right there, soon, Terror Dave Fuentes will be posting his blog entries to cover the con. And I think that's all for this time around. Again, it was super cool to meet Jill Thompson. I playfully wanted to crack the code and see was that Hamilton that she had and the two drawn out. And definitely a fan of the Chris Jones art. And let me say, Chris Jones was really those convention highlights of being in Artist Alley and getting to banter for a few minutes with an Art Baltazar, with a Franco. Jill Thompson's table was pretty busy, so I didn't banter that much with her, but definitely had some quality. But I've met Art before. I've met Franco before. The new discovery for me was meeting Jill Thompson, brief as it was, and getting to have a couple quality minutes with Christopher Jones at his art table. So before I close out, let me see if I can just get a little bit of a screen share over for Mr. Jones's stuff. It's share screen, share screen. Let's go right here to his Etsy, and there you can see he's got the DC artworks. He's got the Svengoolie artwork. He's got a whole lot of DC stuff. He's got Doctor Who stuff. He's a cool guy, and he's billed as Minnesota-based artist. So we've had other Minnesota-based artists, Nicole Hoff, around here before, and that's always really good. And speaking of Nicole, it was really cool then to find out the same weekend of the convention during the Trilogy of Terror episode or Trilogy of Terror movie featured on Sven's program that Nicole's Barbie versus Godzilla or Barbie Godzilla interaction was featured during the mail run. So that was really neat to learn of that. And that's Minnesota's just got a bunch of great artists, I guess I'll say. So now let me come again, share screen, and this time let me just try to show that. So going back to 2014, there's Sven and Chris Jones hanging out, talking, and this is through Chris Jones's Facebook, as you can see. It was really, again, cool for me to be able to talk. Oh, we got a comment. Let's see what's in the comments. Oh, Dave, welcome to the comment section. Dave, I don't know at what time you tuned in, but I was saying that was the number one. That was the first highlight out of the gate for me, pal. And thanks for being here now and watching. So I was just commenting that to hear Chris Jones talk about his process during the time of COVID, when the Svengoolie show was being shot with not smoke and mirrors and not refractory trickeration, but Mr. Coase was recording a bunch of things from home. And originally, Chris Faulkner, the director, had put together the background. And then I learned some things as I was talking to Chris Jones. So I knew he had done the Sven Manor background. And if you're not familiar, it's a bat signal, but converted into a Sven signal, and the whole bat poles thing. And I remember watching, I was, like, what a cool way. Sven did film on 8 of course. Well, good. See, because again, Dave, aficionado, wide knowledge base, knows the specifics. And it's always great to trade knowledge around the Svenverse, around the Svenology, around the Sven chronicity. So what I didn't realize, what I got to learn from speaking with Chris Jones is, and maybe I'll have to try to find some images to load up the night gallery. So let's remember Rod. Oh, here we go. So, okay. So let's future business coming up of more. See, again, check back to the official Svengoolies.com. Check around to the TerrorDaves.com and check around to Chris Jones. It like when you get a comic book crossover, and it's like back at Flashback, you get a mashup of Svengoolie and Joe Bob Briggs. You get the great talents together, and it's highly entertaining. So, as was great to see Sven and Joe Bob together, now I'm super looking forward to this updated Sven and Christopher Jones interaction. I was saying the Night Gallery, the Rod Serling TV show that came in the era after the Twilight Zone. So Chris Jones was telling me about his process of putting together the art backgrounds that he did that were then seen on a Svengoolie show at that time. And again, it was just a guy I feel I have stuff in common with. Real cool guy. Uh, hey, so I was goals achieved again. Jill Thompson on the Hamilton on the two drawn out confirmed that the color was again, I don't want to say colorist error, but misunderstanding, miscommunication between Christopher Jones's original design, both on how this very portrait appears in the Sven comic and also on the shirt color. I told myself quit bumping the table. Still, sometimes I bump the table. Anyway, more good stuff coming ahead this weekend. More C2E2 coverage of people in their cosplay. More Svengoolie talk coming around. And our pal Junkyard, friend of the channel, has been at the T-shirt generation, putting different T-shirts together. So we want to give some shout outs to Junkyard coming up this weekend. If you were watching live, thanks for having stopped by. And by that, I mean you, Dave Terror Dave. Always appreciated. And thanks. And that's all for now. We will be back again just in about 48 hours, give or take, with a different aspect of the con to be covered. More synchronicitous Svengoolie stuff to speak on. Thanks, and see you people real soon. Thanks, everybody.